I think it's the fact that I had a lot of questions at the beginning, especially about where to buy, about real estate in general, about real estate investing, and also about I wasn't clear how to strategically get to the passive income that I want to achieve, and I didn't have a roadmap. But you actually took time out of your day and explained it to me in a fair bit of detail. So I think you gave me a pretty clear breakdown about the differences between the hot and the cooler markets. You were saying that the hotter markets is where you get a bit more capital growth in a short period.
Yeah.
And then you said your cooler markets, you get capital growth, but you have to wait for a longer period.
Yeah.
That was because I wasn't sure which market to shop in.
Yeah.
By you breaking that down and with my budget as well, that gave me a bit more direction. It was that whole process where I think you had all the contacts and you sort of dealt with with the property manager, and then you went and reached out to get quotes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it was that whole process where you kind of held my hand. That was probably what sort of made you stood out.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a client with me and he's going to talk about his experience, about how it was working with me. Let's start off by a short introduction about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a full-time engineer, part-time photographer, and I also do a little bit of investing on the side.
Okay, so let's talk about how you got to know me. So you watched my YouTube videos and then you reached out to me. Could you just explain that process? What happened there?
Yeah, so I was doing a bit of research about potentially gaining some passive income in the long run, but I just wasn't sure how to actually get there strategically. I think I stumbled upon one of your YouTube videos where you spoke about how to get passive income through real estate. I think you broke it down pretty well, so that's why I decided to put in an inquiry and book a phone call with you.
Yeah. Okay. So we kind of had a few meetings, right? I recall having a phone call. I met you at a coffee shop. We met a few times before you decided, okay, let's go with this guy. So at what point did you think, okay, I can actually trust this guy and work with this person? What was that turning point for you?
I think it's the fact that I had a lot of questions at the beginning, especially about where to buy, about real estate in general, about real estate investing, and also about I wasn't clear how to strategically get to the passive income that I want to achieve.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a roadmap. But you actually took time out of your day and explained it to me in a fair bit of detail. So I think it was the fact that you went the extra mile to help me. That was probably the deal breaker for me.
And so when you started out, so which parts of property investing felt overwhelming to you? Like, what were you worried about? What do you think could go wrong?
I think it's like I don't know the markets too well.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure where to buy, when to buy, and what to buy. Mm-hmm. So that was probably all the uncertainty. That was probably the part I needed help with most.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, do I buy in Sydney? Do I buy in Melbourne? Do I buy interstate? That was...
Okay. So I guess it's natural for people to just be worried about, when they're buying interstate away from where they live. Would this market go up in value? Is it just going to be stagnant?
Yeah.
And so did you think that I did a good job in explaining this to you? Like, even though these markets are, for example, a regional market, this has the potential to do well over the short term, over long term. So we went through those discussions. Did you think that I explained that well to you, or was it still a bit, you were unsure?
Definitely, because I wasn't even aware that all these towns were even available.
Yeah.
And I think you gave me a breakdown about some smaller cities and smaller towns that have potential.
Yeah.
So I think if you didn't give me those stats, or if you didn't tell me about it, I don't think I would have even looked into those areas.
Right. And so let's talk about that now. Like we kind of we had that strategy session where we discussed, okay, this is what you're going to do in the long run. But then we went down into markets, right? So when we went into markets, we had the discussion around buying in hot markets, buying in cooler markets. What did you feel about that? So what were your thoughts around that?
So I think you gave me a pretty clear breakdown about the differences between the hot and the cooler markets. You were saying that the hotter markets is where you get a bit more capital growth in a short period.
Yeah.
And then you said your cooler markets, you get capital growth, but you have to wait for a longer period.
Yeah.
That was because I wasn't sure which market to shop in.
Yeah.
But I think by you breaking that down and with my budget as well,
Yeah.
that gave me a bit more like direction.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. I think when we were having that discussion like a couple of months ago,
Yep.
those markets which were cool now are actually starting to turn. There's some definite momentum in those markets. So I wouldn't necessarily call them cooler markets anymore. They're starting to change, right? So I think we got in at a fairly good time into these markets. And so let's go into the property itself. So we decided we're going to buy in Victoria, right? And so we found a property. What were your thoughts like when you saw that property? So it was an older house, right? Definitely an older house, like built in the 70s, 60s. What were your thoughts when you first saw that property?
My initial impression, it was just a regular house.
Yeah.
But I think you sent me a few reports and gave me sort of a breakdown about what the pros and the cons were, and I think the pros definitely outweighed the cons.
Yeah.
So like that sort of changed my perspective a little bit.
Right. Okay, cool. So in terms of the due diligence that we did, right, so the reports, talking about any overlays on the property, the condition of the property and all that, we had a property manager who inspected the property, gave you some feedback around what items need to be done on that property to get it into a rentable condition. And then we also had that building and pest inspection. So we did a series of due diligence checks on that property. What was your overall feedback around the due diligence? Did you feel that it was okay? Did you find that you had confidence to go forward after these due diligence checks?
Based on the due diligence report, I didn't think, there was definitely work that needed to be done, but it wasn't anything where it was going to hold me back from buying it.
Yeah.
So I will say it's just it was a whole process where I think you had all the contacts and you sort of dealt with with the property manager, and then you went and reached out to get quotes and stuff like that. I think it was that whole process where you kind of held my hand. That was probably what sort of made you stood out.
Right. Okay, cool. So, and I guess you answered this question as well. So if you were to kind of do this on your own, how would you have felt? Would you have felt different, or would it roughly have been the same anyway?
Because I don't buy properties every single day, so I think just all the uncertainty would have made the experience a bit more stressful.
Yeah.
But I think having somebody there who's done this a number of times, that did give me a bit more assurance that things were going to go well.
Yeah. So I think after the property settled, you went there. You went to the area, had a look at that area and all that. I think that was your first visit. So how did that feel?
Yeah, look, I think the property looked exactly sort of what I thought it was going to be. Because we obviously looked at the photos and the videos at the time. Yeah. So I was quite happy that I purchased, and I think there's still a little bit of work that needs to be done. But that was expected.
Yeah. Okay. I guess the next question is what's next for you? Like, we've got the property, but this doesn't end here. Your plan is to build out a portfolio. So we had that discussion of what you need to do to kind of reach some level of passive income, and I think that was your goal as well. So what is next? Like.
Yeah, so obviously now I've got the roadmap. I know what needs to be done. I think it's just a matter of building that portfolio and assuming that if I have the financial capabilities, I can keep building. I think what's going to be holding me back is probably my financial situation.
Right.
But the good news is I know what needs to be done now. So where 6 months ago, I didn't even have a roadmap yet.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I guess with this particular property itself, you're doing some cosmetic touch-up and some work on that property, right? You told me yesterday what's happening on that property. So I'm pretty confident that once that work is done, your property value would have already gone up. You would have got equity, and this market is just about to turn. So the next 2-3 years, there's going to be strong growth coming in this market. And I'm pretty confident you're going to generate some equity here, and that equity can be used for a potential next purchase. So that is definitely going to help you with that plan that we discussed. So let's go to the last question here. So I've pretty much covered everything, and the last one is, what would you say to someone who is on the fence about using a buyer's agent? Like, some people are a bit hesitant. They're like, can I actually trust this guy on YouTube? Will he run away with my money? What would you say to them?
Well, at the beginning, I was a bit hesitant as well because I wasn't very familiar with the industry. Like, I didn't know what a buyer's agent was. I didn't know what you guys did. So I think I had to educate myself and also, obviously, have discussions with you about what your role is. So essentially, I think that if you're somebody who might be unfamiliar with the housing industry or just the Australian market, I think a buyer's agent would definitely be useful because you can direct them in specific markets that sort of meets their goals.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. So I think we've wrapped up the interview, but I have to mention the most important thing now. So as John mentioned, he's also a photographer. And yesterday we did some photographs. I needed some photographs for my LinkedIn profile, and John helped me getting some really amazing snaps. And he made the process really smooth. He told me about the different poses, things that I didn't even know, right? So it made me feel comfortable in front of the camera. And I'm really excited to see how the photos are going to come out. So thank you for that, John. And so if you want to get photographs, get in touch with John. He's got his Instagram page as well. I'll put that in the description, and I'll also put his contact details there. So get in touch with him if you want to get some amazing photographs. So that's all for today, everybody, and I'll see you in my next video.